Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome out to Wild Wing Cafe University for the final installment of the Allen Major Show this year. As we talk Niners basketball until the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. Our phone number is 704-332-0173, 704-332-0173. And again, welcome everyone into the Wild Wing Cafe University broadcast booth. And we have a special guest joining us here today. Head coach Allen Major had to be out of town today, and filling in is assistant coach Ryan Odom. And Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time to come on out here tonight. Certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's always great to come over here to Wild Wing Cafe.
Also joined by Lanny Ford from ESPN 730. And as we kind of wrap up the season a little bit, Coach, and talk about how we got to this point, let's go back and look at some of the highlights this year. And as you look back, you know, the last week, having finished up in the conference tournament at St. Joe's, some of the things as a staff you guys have talked about and look as positives right now to go forward.
Well, I mean, I think we told our team today, you know, coming off our first year 2 years ago when we won 10 games, moving that up to 13 with a considerably tougher schedule. The A10 this year was fabulous, you know, as evidenced by their representation in the two tournaments, the NCAA and the NIT. And, you know, we felt like our guys, you know, did a nice job. Of course, we always want to do better, you know, for sure, looking for big things next year. And certainly there's a lot of stuff that we can learn from this past season. But, you know, winning 5 in a row, winning several road games within our conference, and being very, very close in a lot of games that really could have gone either way. And that would have put us, you know, a little bit ahead, maybe even at 500, and the A10 had a couple of them changed.
Yeah, there were so many games that were so close, and you make a great point about the Atlantic 10 Conference and how strong, really from top to bottom, the league was. 8 teams going into postseason play, 4 in the NCAA tournament, which I believe ties the all-time record in the A10, and also, you know, 4 teams going on to the NIT, and I think all 4, if I'm not correct here, have home games. So even though Dayton is having to go on the road because their arena is being used with the first 4 in the NCAA tournament, they would have had a home game against Iowa. That says a lot about how good the Atlantic 10 Conference is right now. Absolutely.
And first off, I'd love to congratulate St. Bonaventure for that tremendous run that they had in our conference tournament. And it's exciting to have a guy like Andrew Nicholson finish his career the right way. I mean, he's such a tremendous player, as we all saw when we played against them second to last game of the year at home. He was tremendous that night, and he continued it, you know, from there and going on into the tournament. And there were a lot of teams in our league had good years this year, and you know, it was a tough season for us. Every night.
There was a lot of great players that we saw come in and play in Halton, also on the road this year. And you mentioned St. Bonaventure, Andrew Nicholson, and you know, that was a great finish to what they did in 4 years up at Ole in New York. And your brother Lane, who's a former Niner assistant as well, you know, is an NBA scout. Have you guys, you know, talked about this kid Nicholson and what his future's like? Because he seems like right now he's got a great future. He can go both left and right, and it's just so smooth with the ball.
He really is. I actually have talked to Lane quite a bit about him, and Lane actually went up to the A10 tournament in Atlantic City to watch him a little bit more and put on a show up there. But he's tremendous. I mean, he's a tremendous player. He demands a double team. He's a guy that, like you said, can score either direction. And, you know, Coach Smith does a great job of moving him around. You know, a lot of times post guys are post guys, and that's really all they do. And it makes it pretty easy to just get the ball out of their hands with a double team. Well, the way they move him around, it's not always that simple. And his ability to knock down jump shots makes him really, really tough to guard. You know, we didn't really realize it until we actually got into the game. I mean, you scout it and you feel like you're able to take it out of his hands, but we really couldn't get to him quick enough. Where he was catching the ball, and they've got a ton of different sets and ways to get him the basketball, and he's unselfish with it too. At the same time, I mean, he's not greedy. I mean, he's not a guy that has to shoot it every time, but he knows when it's his time to kind of take over. And he knew coming into that game at Charlotte it was a big game, and he played like it. You could tell.
We're talking with Coach Odom, sitting in for Alan Major here tonight on the Alan Major Show. Coach, you guys could probably appreciate this being in your second season here, building a program, trying to get it back to the NCAA tournament, to what Coach Smith did up in Oldie, and that is a really tough place to coach in, recruit in. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's, 90 miles from Syracuse. It's almost an hour and a half from Buffalo. But he kind of sold his kids in a plan. He got Nicholson to buy in, and that's a pretty good, beginning piece right there. But to get to the NCAA tournament, to win a conference like the A10, that's what you guys are trying to aim for. Absolutely.
There's no question about it. I mean, and Charlotte's proven over its history that, it's capable of winning championships, and that's what we want to try to get back to. It's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it. Sometimes, you obviously have a little bit of luck that goes, balls bounce your way here and there, but we're a big believer in you make your own luck, and that's what we're going to try to do this spring. Attack the weight room, attack the individuals. There's nobody better in the country than Coach Major in terms of player development, and we're going to try to get better, and we're challenging each guy to do that, and if each guy does that, then our team's going to get better. And we've got some good young guys in our program right now that are eager to win, and now that they've been through it, for a year, are going to have a better understanding of what it takes to win.
Coach Major always talks about it being it's a possession league, and I think more games probably with us where it hurt us because of it being a possession league than some of the other teams that were inside. As you said, so many games come down to where it was so close it could have went either way. It could have been a big swing in wins and losses. How do you get over that hump to get a bigger spread so that you're really not on a possession-type basis?
Well, I mean, certainly as you're going through it, you go back and you look at each individual game and you see what happened. Why did you, lose it right there at the end? Did you not block out? Did you, was your offense not what it needed to be? Were you not as patient as you needed to be? What kind of start did you get off to? There's a ton of different factors that go into it. And, I think certainly, offensively we've got to get better. That's an area, we're turning the basketball over probably too much. Some shot selection stuff, that we can clean up. Defensively, that's where we're going to win. I mean, a lot of times, we beat St. Joe's at St. Joe's, and we held them to 0 points in the last 4 minutes of that game. So a lot of times, defensively, you can make plays to win the game. And, we've got to do a little bit more of that.
I know one of the things, you guys set benchmarks. We talked about this before, but you guys set benchmarks of you want to shoot this, you want to hold your opponent to this, you want your turnovers to assist ratio to be this. One of the things, there were a lot of games where you had the offensive percentage you wanted but couldn't hold the opponent's offensive production down. Therefore, you couldn't come out on a winning end.
Exactly.
Going back to the defensive point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've got – good defenders on this team, and I think that's an area that we're going to continue to. We improved from last year. We certainly, with the A10 being much improved, it made it harder on us. Maybe we didn't see quite the gains that we were hoping for, but our defense certainly is always going to be our first priority. And sometimes defense leads to offense as well. I mean, we've all watched games where, the defense takes over, and now all of a sudden the offense becomes a little bit easier. So, we're looking forward to working this spring and getting better.
Coach, I think 3 of the highlight games this year, of course, the win at home against Davidson, but the 2 conference wins to start the season at St. Joe's, and the way you guys did beat Richmond at home, the great advantage points in the paint and the defensive job you did on some of their outside shooters. As you prepare for next season, are those like the model games you're looking at to try and see more of next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those were 2 games that we played really well. We actually, I mean, there were other games that we played well, too, where we didn't win. At Dayton, I mean, that was a very, very good performance by our guys. At Xavier, to be up 37-23 or whatever we were at one point in that first half. We had several games that were like that where we didn't finish the end of the first half well, and it hurt us. All of a sudden Xavier's down 37-30, and it's a game at that point. As opposed to had we handled those situations a little bit better. And we have young players that are out there, logging a ton of minutes.
Yeah, is that where the youth kind of comes in, a decision here, a decision there, and then maybe you can change the whole, makeup of the second half?
Yeah, and with experience, you just, you end up being a little bit more comfortable in those situations. And that's our job to get those guys ready for that.
You know, one of the questions coming into the season, of course, was, you know, how would the point guard position kind of play out? We knew you had the incoming freshman in Perrier Henry and the talent that he has. But then when you lost Luka leaving at Christmas time, it kind of made a little hole there. But then DeMario Mayfield really stepped up. We're going to talk to DeMario a little bit later in the show. But, you know, going into next season, he's a junior. Perrier's a sophomore. That's a position now. You guys have some depth in and some certainly, you know, confidence to go forward in those two guys.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, you know, those two guys are key for us. I mean, we know that going forward. They both had special years. You know, DeMario from, you know, probably about the 5th game in, played really, really well. We were happy with him. He rebounded. He was our leading defensive rebounder at the guard spot, or overall. But as a guard, he was our leader. His assists, you know, as we began to put the ball in his hands more, you know, his assists went way up. He's a very, very unselfish player, and you know, he's a very good defender. We can easily put him on the best wing player, you know, that we're playing against, and feel pretty comfortable that he's going to make life tough for him. Perrier, I mean, he learned all year. He had a great year for a freshman. Certainly, you know, in the midst of it, you're going to have some ups and downs and not play well. He got injured, so we missed him in 2 games. You know, those 2 home games against Temple and Xavier. You know, which certainly hurt our team, but you know, our guys fought hard in those games. But you know, it was neat for him to be named all-rookie team. Now he wants to build on that. You know, it was funny. I was listening to him talk to Ryan Atchison, our strength coach, and he was talking to him about, I can't wait to get in the weight room. Like, I got to get stronger. And he's a pretty strong freshman.
Yeah.
But it's nice and refreshing to hear a young guy say that and really back it up, go in there and get it done. So we're looking forward to seeing what he can do next season.
Sometimes it's hard, I think, to get, especially the young players, to understand that there's more development to their game than just on the court. There's the things off the floor that you got to do, the weight room, the other things, the flexibility, the stretching.
No question.
But there's things that you have to do to build up that will show up on the court that's not really done out there on the hardwood.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, our guys have taken to that. Victor Nickerson has done that. Terrence Williams has done that. Mike Thorne has done that. I mean, they're all young guys that understand, you know, that they've got to get stronger. They've got to get quicker. They got to get faster. And Perrier and DeMario included in that. And, you know, we're excited about those guys.
Coach, you've been in other situations, other schools, rebuilding situations. As a coach, I know you want it to happen overnight, but you got to show the patience. And you talk about the young kids and developing these guys. It's a process, but you know, as you sit here and you're watching teams now in the postseason, it's kind of got to get at you a little bit. Like, man, I want these kids kind of speed things up.
Yeah, you want it. You want it now. I mean, there's no question about it. And you know, we are close, and you know, we're excited about the spring here and getting in the gym with these guys and helping them improve, because it's hard to do that as you go through the season in terms of individual improvement, and that's where, you know, Coach Major's tremendous. I mean, he's helped guys, you know, make it to the next level as an assistant coach at Ohio State and Xavier, and you know, he's doing it here. I mean, you just look at the development so far from, you know, a Chris Braswell, you know, from when Coach first got here, and he was a freshman, you know, and he just was fitting in, you know, with that last team. And then for him in his sophomore year with us, you know, to make that marked improvement, and then junior year now has really, really improved and become a reliable scorer up front for us. And you know, we've been impressed with his ability to step out and shoot the basketball now, and he's proven that he's been able to do that and knock in some shots. And you know, part of that is he's put a lot of work into that, and you know, we're proud of him for that. And you look at Javaris Barnett, and there's probably no better example than him in terms of just getting better daily and working at it. You know, when he was a sophomore, didn't play very much, you know, and to his credit, stuck with it. And Coach Major comes in, and he does a tremendous job for us the last 2 years, you know, to finish out a career. Finish out his career and did a great job. You know, shot the basketball extremely well for us, rebounded extremely well for us, and what a great kid.
Yeah, really fantastic. 5 years here, sitting out as a redshirt that first year, and the growth, how he just matured through those years and to finish the way he did. It's a great story to see unfold. And with Chris Braswell, you look at some of the numbers as he finishes up his junior season. He's over 1,000 points. He's got a shot with a really good year next year to become just, I think, the fourth Niner ever to go 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds in his career. And that's something special. But what he's done, third team all-conference this year, the ceiling's pretty high still for him next year. And, Coach talked going into the season, wanted to see if he can, develop that left side move a little more, and he really did this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in the offseason to really improve his game even more.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's committed to that. He wants to, he wants to be really good, which is fun for us as coaches to be around guys like that. And all of our guys are like that, which makes it fun. So looking for big things for Braz next year. And you see average 16 a game and close to 8 rebounds. And he had a nice year. He
really did. We're going to take a break on the Allen Major Show, and assistant coach Ryan Odom is joining us here today. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. The second segment, we come back, we're going to talk with sophomore guard DeMario Mayfield, who just finished up his first season with the 49ers, and this is sophomore year, transferring from the University of Georgia, and has a couple more seasons to go in his Niners career. Also, we'll have our email segment coming up as well shortly. We have all our questions tonight. I want to thank everybody for sending us email questions to major49ershow@yahoo.com. This is the Allen Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Allen Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe University. Alongside Lanny Ford, I'm Matt Swierad. We're joined today by DeMario Mayfield, Niners guard from Royston, Georgia. Our special guest brought to us by Ortho Carolina. Ortho Carolina, you improved. Well, DeMario, thanks so much for coming out and joining us here today now that the season is over. You wrapped up your first year playing for the 49ers. You sat out a year ago after transferring from the University of Georgia. And what was it like getting back on the hardwood after sitting out for a season? It must have been tough just to sit there and watch those guys play last year.
Yeah, actually, it was pretty tough for me sitting out last year, watching practicing with my teammates every day, and come game day, I wasn't able to actually battle with them every game day. But the only thing I could do from the sideline by sitting out last year was cheer them on and try and give them a little advice throughout the game, a little bit that I knew.
Well, you got to get back and play this year and really became an integral part of the team. And one of the things that kind of happened at the midway point is you had to slide over and play a little point guard. And you did play point guard in high school. And I know it's a position you play awfully well. And you played extremely well in the second half of the season. What is it like? It's kind of like a quarterback and the team out there. It's got to be a little bit more fun sometimes. The ball's in your hand a lot.
I mean, Coach just Coach just put me in that position. Like you mentioned, I did play it in high school. I'm pretty comfortable at the one. Perrier, our starting guard, who pretty much who plays hard for however many minutes he plays throughout the game, and I know he'd be tired, so I guess Coach put me there to give him a break.
You know, one of the great things about having you on this team is, your work ethic, certainly number one, but the size and the strength that you bring in the backcourt for the 49ers. You play multiple positions, but having played in the SEC at Georgia and now playing in the Atlantic 10, you probably could see that in this league there's a lot of tough guards, and your style of play certainly complements this team. Talk about what it's like to be a guard in the Atlantic 10 Conference.
I mean, like you just mentioned also, transferring out of the SEC, pretty much all the guys are pretty much physical in the SEC 1 through the 5 position. Coming into the A-10, like you mentioned also, it's a lot of good guards, such as like Tu Holloway from Xavier, also with Mark Lyons, and also you have Carl Jones from St. Joe's, who's smaller guards, and I'm bigger than them and stronger than them. So, I mean, it gave me and Perrier a little room to get up in pressure and try and push them around a little bit. But hats off to those 3 guys, 3 good players.
We know that you've got the versatility to play at the different positions. Where do you feel like you're most comfortable? Where do you feel like you can give the most production from as far as out there on the floor?
To answer that question, I like the wing position. I like the wing position more. I mean, Perrier, the freshman, he do pretty good with distributing the ball also, just as I would. So I'm pretty comfortable at any position coach can put me at.
You seem to be, when you're on offense, that you don't have a problem on the wing or being the 2 or a shooting type guard. Feel like you've got some confidence playing that position. Also, from the defensive end, you don't have any problem pressuring up on the front.
Right. I mean, like I just mentioned, with my size and strength, I try and pressure up on the smaller guards a little bit more, and try and push them around a little bit more, using my strength and athleticism.
For much of the year, Chris Braswell seemed to be the #1 scoring option for us, and you kind of, along with Javaris Barnett, kind of stepped in that second slot, trying to provide some offense, and you were very consistent down the stretch, double-double, I think 6 or 7 games in the second half of the season. And as you look at the offseason now, Coach talks about getting back in the weight room and preparing for next year. Where do you want to see the most growth in your game going from this season to next year?
I want to first off by saying hats off to Chris Braswell. I started center guy who, like you mentioned, he was pretty much the most dominant guy on the offensive end for us. By us throwing the ball in the inside to him early, it opened it up for us other guys when other teams would double and triple team down on him. And Braz is a real good passer, and he was able to find other guys for open shots. But for me to get better this summer, for I can contribute more to my team next year, I think I just have to more of a killer mentality. Get more consistent on my shot and free throws, as everybody know. I battled that throughout the season, so that's going to be a big part of my workouts this year. Free throws.
You battled it in the first half, but in the second half, you made that little change. You stopped dribbling, you just grab it and shoot it, and you shot it extremely well. And you always told me that you were a good free throw shooter, and it was just a little mental block at the start of the year.
Yes, it was a big mental block for me for about 4 or 5 games. I think it was. I can't really remember what it was, but I also want to give credit to our coaching staff for also putting me in game type situations within our practice where I had to make a free throw for us to leave, or if I missed a free throw, we would have to run sprint. So I just want to give credit to them guys for sticking with me, staying confident in me, and helping me gain my confidence back at the free throw line.
As you look at going forward as a team, a lot of this group is back. Of course, you have the 2 seniors that aren't here anymore after this year, and Javaris Barnett and Dario Green, but the bulk of the team is coming back. So as you get to work together in the offseason, that has to be a big positive to have so many guys returning. Then you have the new guys coming in the summertime to move forward.
Yes, sir. All of us guys, all of us are really looking forward to the spring and to the summer, so we can get into the gym with each other, battle each other, beat each other up a little bit. So we'll have a lot to look forward to come practice time.
Now you got to get a little bit of free time too, as we came back off the conference tournament. It was spring break time, so you took advantage of it with your girlfriend and your son, DeMario Mayfield Jr., to go down to Disney World, and that must have been a lot of fun, not just for yourself to go down there, but to see Disney World in the eyes of your son as well.
I mean, we enjoyed it. Whenever I'm with my son, I always enjoy it. So this was his first time going. He enjoyed it pretty much.
Any favorite ride that you might have?
No.
No, so you're not afraid of heights like I am, right?
No, I'm not.
My wife sort of gave me a hard time about taking our girls down there. I said, I'll watch you. You know? Well, DeMario, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out tonight. And congratulations on a nice season for yourself this year. And best of luck to you and the team going forward.
All right, thank you for having me.
DeMario Mayfield has been our guest, Niners sophomore guard from Royston, Georgia. I want to thank him very much again, and it's brought to us by Ortho Carolina. We'll come back with more of the Allen Major Show. Ryan Odom is back joining us. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. And again, this is the Allen Major Show from Signature Sports Group.
You can catch a video replay of the show on UNC Charlotte Cable, TV Channel 22 on Time Warner Cable, numerous times this Tuesday and Wednesday. Tune in to Channel 22 for show times.
Well, before we get to some of the email questions, again, coming from the email segment, email address major49ershow@yahoo.com. We have all the questions here today brought to us by the Alumni Association and their email basket. Let's talk about the Time Warner Cable stat stuffer for this year. And, Coach, as we go back, and and look at some of the numbers for the season. Chris Braswell on the road was unbelievable. You talked about his progression this year, but on the road, especially in conference games, averaging over 20 points a game. That's pretty impressive with some of the places that we go to play. And you talk about hostile environments, and some guys just, even star players have trouble bringing it on the road. But, boy, he had a fantastic season away from Halton.
He really did. It started out at UMass, and he had just a phenomenal game at UMass. And he continued it on throughout the A-10. And it's hard to play at that high of a level on the road, like you said, in hostile environments. Played well at St. Joe's early in the season as well, and had some really, really big games, culminating with the game at Xavier.
That was fantastic.
He was tremendous. I mean, we just made it easy for us. Guys were just getting him the basketball, and he was delivering, and it was fun to see. So
11 of 15 from the floor in that ball game, and it was one of his best performances, as you mentioned, UMass as well, when he had 31 that night up in Amherst. That was our Stat Stuffer, brought to us by Time Warner Cable. Call Time Warner Cable today and save a bundle on TV, internet, and phone. Call 1-800-TW-CABLE. Also finish up some housekeeping that we didn't get to earlier, the Bojangles Bow Time. That was back in the first segment. I want to thank our sponsor, Bojangles. As Coach talked about, one of the most important developments this coming off season, that was getting in the weight room and getting bigger and stronger and preparing for next season. And, Coach, as we do prepare for next season, Coach Majors talked about this, but you have the opportunity now to have that international trip before the season, going over to the Bahamas at the end of the summertime, and what these things really get to do for you to help get the team prepared going into the October practices. It's extra time playing games away from campus, extra time to work with these players.
Yeah, it's a tremendous advantage for teams that are able to do it. They limit how often you can do it, obviously, but we're excited. We're really excited about that trip. It's a chance for us to not only practice 10 days, because they allow you 10 days prior to your trip to practice by NCAA rules. It's a chance for us to practice when we normally wouldn't have the full team together. It's a chance for us to play 2 games down there, and most importantly, it's a chance for our team to bond, because that's going to be one of the biggest, things that we have, or we're thinking forward on for next season, is just making sure that our team is as tight as they can possibly be, and we're excited. That's going to be the beginning of it, and getting ready for the season.
Can you petition the NCAA to broadcast the game so I get to go too?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's done.
All right, Lanny. Wow. Email time.
We'll go to the Alumni Association email bag, and this one comes, Coach, from Kenny Seabick. He says, what impact do you expect Mike Thorne to have next year on the team? Will he see starter or reserve-type minutes, top big man in the A-10? And that's been a question we've kind of had all year because we haven't seen Big Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike is a great, great young man. I mean, he has made tremendous strides this season. And, heading to the end of the year, about halfway through, he really began to figure it out. And he became a guy in practice, all right, that really helped Braz, because they would go against each other, in practice. And it was a chance for Braz to see, a physical guy that was willing to compete with him. And Mike is really, really eager. He's a guy that wants to please. You talk to him about being really good, and you could see it in his eyes, like he wants it. And he wants to really please his coaches, please his teammates. He's a tremendous teammate. He's a guy that really wants to win. He's got a little bit about his basketball ability. He can shoot the basketball, which is rare for 6'10" guys that are that young. And he's really a year younger than what a freshman should be. And he's got a very, very good right and left hook. He's worked on that all year. He can rebound the basketball. He's got to get a little bit better at post defending, moving his feet in there. But he can block shots, when asked upon to do that. I think the short answer to that, in terms of will he see starter or reserve minutes next season, I mean that's going to be determined in practice, next year, starting out with our trip. And I think he's eager, to help the team in any way that he possibly can. And we believe in him. and you know, he's kind of the future, you know, for us in terms of, you know, on the front court, and you know, we're excited that you know, he's with us.
A lot of ways to develop a big guy, and I found it interesting when Ryan Atchison, the strength and conditioning coach, and Carlton Anderson, the head athletic trainer, to tell me that they're thinking about getting him involved in maybe some boxing classes this summer to really help with his footwork.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mike is he can really run the court. Like, he's fast. Like, if you tested him running up and down the court, he can really jump. His vertical is really, really good. I mean, when he jumps up and dunks it, you're like, whoa. You know, his deal is more footwork. You know, footwork, and boxing can help with that. So that'll be a good deal if he can get that done.
This question from Charles Pipkins, and he says, what do you believe each of the freshmen need to improve on over the summer, and are we officially in early training for next season, or what can you as coaches do with the team?
Well, we're going to start next week with them and with individuals. You know, we can get, you know, all the guys out there, you know, 4 at a time.
Anything less than a team?
Yeah. So we're excited about that. We're going to start doing that next week. They're going to start with Coach Atchison as well, 3 times a week, and lift weights and really try to build their bodies up. Because when you're in the season, it's hard, you know, for Coach Atchison to be able to really build. It's hard to do that, you know, with the demands of, you know, you got a game, then you got, you know, 1 or 2 days to prepare for the next game. So it's just, you know, it's hard. And you're traveling. You add travel into that. Sometimes they have to get their lift and maintenance lift, so to speak, you know, on the road, you know, maybe even at a hotel. So, you know, it's a big time for guys that need to put on weight, you know, to do that. And, you know, certainly starting with, you know, Terrence, Victor, you know, Perrier, Mike, they all want to get stronger. I mean, there's no question about it. And Natch, you know, will tailor a workout for each individual guy, you know, for what that particular guy needs, and, you know, try to help him get quicker, faster, stronger. And he's really, really good at doing that.
That kind of answers a question that Chris Seifert had. It was the same thing. Can you talk about coaching staff plans for the off-season and workouts and what areas? And you just answered that. You've already got some specific things the team does, specific goals that they need to hit in the off-season to get them better, as we talked about earlier, that really doesn't have to do with being on the floor. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the strength and conditioning is a huge component, you know, of whether or not a team is going to be successful that next season. So, you know, that's a huge deal for us. And then, you know, from a basketball perspective, you know, just getting as many shots as they can get. You know, getting in the gym and really shooting the basketball is going to be a big thing for our guys this season, you know, this off season.
Do you envision, Coach, any of the freshmen that we do have here? I mean, I see Perrier Henry as a guy that, as his career evolves here, that he's going to be a guy that scores more. You know, it could be a 10 to 15 point a game scorer by the time he's done with other things, you know, distributing the ball and rebounding. But how about the other guys coming back? As you look, you mentioned earlier in the show, you know, developing the offense and finding other score. Is there one in this bunch you think that has right now the upside going into next year to really maybe step into that number 2 or 3 role?
In terms of scoring the basketball? Yeah, I mean, I think both of the freshmen, you know, Victor and Terrence, are both can score the basketball. I mean, they proved that in high school. And with each team, it's different, you know, in terms of roles change and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, you know, Terrence at West Meck proved, I mean, that's kind of what he did. He scored the basketball. You know, he's a very, very good defender. That's something that's what earned him more playing time as the year progressed. He rebounds the basketball well. You know, his next step is decision making, handling, passing, you know, shooting. Those are all areas that he's going to attack this spring. Victor is tremendous. I mean, nobody loves the game more than Victor Nickerson, and puts more time in than he does to improve, you know, every single day. And he's always in the gym shooting and working on his jump shot. And you know, as evidenced by that shot that he made in the St. Joe's game on the kick out. Yep. You know, he looked at me. I've been working on that shot, Coach.
Hey, I can tell you on the shoot-around days, he's the last guy we got to get off the floor before we get on the bus. He's out there getting extra shots up with the managers and working left and right. So you're right, he's putting the work in.
His ability to handle the ball for such a tall kid. I mean, you look at him and he stands beside KJ and some of these other guys. He's as tall as them. You know, he's a tall, skilled, wing. And, we're lucky to have him. There's no question about it. 'Cause his ability to pass and create for others is going to continue to improve, as we ask him to do more. And we're really lucky to coach him, that's for sure.
Coach, we're going to take a break here right now on the show and come back with a lot more. The phone number is 704-332-0173. We're here until 8 o'clock. We'd love to hear from you. It's the Alan Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe University. The phone number is 704-332-0173. Head coach Alan Major not with us here tonight. Had to leave for a family matter, and we hope things are going well for him back at home. We want to certainly thank Ryan Odom for stepping in, Niners assistant coach, and joining us here tonight. Also, before we wrap up the show, we still have plenty of time left. I want to thank the staff here at Wild Wing Cafe University and the management here at Wild Wing Cafe University, Karen Navarre, Sharivas Desari, for their great help for 3 years now. Also the excellent wait staff here, Jessica, who's putting up with us all season long. Our third year with the weekly radio show here at Wild Wing Cafe University. We certainly love this place and everything they've done for us, and the TV viewing parties as well this year. So again, thank you to everybody here at Wild Wing Cafe University. Now, Coach, as now we kind of gear up again towards next season, and as a coach, you can sit back and also enjoy a little bit of this time with your coaching friends in the coaching fraternity and what they've done, and the different tournaments going on right now. And as you look at the A10 and 4 teams getting into the big dance, and what we talked about St. Bonaventure did, but the other teams too, Xavier, Temple, St. Louis, how much noise can the A10 make in the NCAA tournament?
Well, that first matchup that I look at, St. Louis versus Memphis, that's going to be a great game. And St. Louis has had a tremendous year. And, they guard you the right way. They're always in the game. They don't beat themselves. And, having played Memphis, I'm intrigued by that matchup. Memphis certainly has a lot of athletes. They got ability to spurt out and score pretty easy. Defensively, they cause problems because they're so long. But St. Louis is just solid, and they're not going to give in, and they're tough. So I'm excited to see that game. And Xavier, they play Notre Dame, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting game. Notre Dame doesn't beat themselves. They shoot the ball well. They get some tough guys inside.
Kind of want to slow the game down too.
Yeah, they want to. That'll be a tough matchup. I think that's in Greensboro, right up the road here. And then Temple, I'm not sure who did Temple. Who did they match up against?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, you got me on that one right now.
But they were playing as well as anyone, going into the tournament, and ran into a good UMass team. Got after them a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond. Heading into the tournament, and I'm looking for the A10 to do well. So it'll be nice.
I got to ask you. You grew up in a basketball family. Your dad, Dave, a very successful college basketball coach, and your brother Lane, of course, in the game as well. What drew you to be a college basketball coach? Is it something you always wanted to do, or was it something that came to you later?
It came to me probably when I was in college. It was time for me to give basketball up. My career's coming to an end. I had a fun time playing, made great friends. Basketball's obviously always been a part of my life. And, when it came time to give it up, I wasn't ready to. And I had the opportunity to go down to University of South Florida with Seth Greenberg down there as administrative assistant. And he kind of got me into the business. And, I enjoyed it from there. I mean, I at that point, I was close in age to the players and guys that I had just graduated, and I was able to spend a lot of time with them and learn a lot about coaching. There were assistant coaches on that staff that I still talk to this day, that taught me a lot, and then I was able to move on a little bit and continue in. That's where you kind of first get the feel of, I've started this process. Do I want to stay with it? Is it something that I really want to do? And the answer was a resounding yes at that point. And it's been a fun ride for me. I had some good years at Virginia Tech, and looking forward to helping Coach Major and the rest of the staff here, build a championship team.
Knowing how difficult it is in this profession, how quickly things can change, did your dad ever say, "Hey, why don't you do something else?"
My mom certainly did, because she was the one that had to deal with the wins and the losses and sitting in the crowd, and I know there are plenty of coaches' wives that can relate to that, and to have not only, because Lane was still in coaching at the time, and I had just gotten in, and Dad was coaching, so she had 3 games. So, one would be happy one night, the other 2 just lost, so they'd be mad. She's having to deal and juggle it all. She's the only one that was remaining sane, I guess, so to speak. But, she loves it, and she gave of her life to let Dad, kind of do his deal, and my wife's kind of doing the same. So I really appreciate her for that. As
you go out now and recruit kids and sell UNC Charlotte, what was some of the draws that brought you back here? And you've seen this place before when Lane was here, and the growth and how the university has changed so much in the last 10 years. And as you sell it now, I'm guessing it's got to be an easy sell.
Absolutely, it is. There's no question. It's funny. We got an email today. Judy Rose sent out an email. It was a YouTube video of the 1977 team. Barbara Walters, 60 Minutes, came to Charlotte and interviewed and just did a little piece on the school and to look at some of the video of where the school was back then in '77 and what we see now every day. It's amazing. It really is. And it's an impressive place. The athletic facilities, the academics, gets better every year. And the city of Charlotte, is tremendous sell. Coach Major, his ability to communicate with guys and develop players, is really, really high, and I'm lucky to work for him. We have fun every day, coming to work. Certainly we didn't win as many games as we wanted to this year. We're going to attack that this spring, and get ready to win some games next year, that's for sure.
Coach, one last break to get to. We'll come back with some final thoughts wrapping up the show and the season right after these messages. This is the Alan Major Show from Signature Sports Group.
Welcome back to the Wild Wing Cafe broadcast booth. And we do want to mention something that will be new for the 49ers this year. We will have an abbreviated baseball schedule on. They'll be on ESPN 7:30 starting this Saturday against Dallas Baptist. Airtime will be 12:45. We're going to have about a 10-game schedule. There'll be home games and end up around May the 19th. We've also got a couple of night games. Wake Forest, Duke, and Winthrop will be the night games. The rest of them will be Saturday, Sunday afternoon. We'll get into conference play, and we're excited to be part of 49er baseball here with ESPN 7:30.
Should be a lot of fun, and hopefully Coach Hibbs and their team continues to be on the roll they're on and have another shot getting back at an A-10 championship and back to the NCAA tournament, picking up where they left off a year ago. Off to a great start already this season. And we're joined now by Ryan Odom, the Niners assistant coach, stepping in here tonight for Coach Alan Major. Do have a little bit of time if you want to try and sneak a phone call in. 704-332-0173 is that phone number. Hey, Coach, can you touch on, when we have a few minutes, some of the incoming guys, the guys that we have signed already? Of course, Sean Lester, who's from Mooresville, a 6'3" shooting guard. Willie Clayton from Thomasville, Georgia. And Darian Clark, a 6'7" forward from Conyers, Georgia. Can you give us a little bit of background on these three guys?
Absolutely. Sean, start out in the order that you just gave there. Sean Lester, he's about 6'3", very, very athletic kid. Better ball handler than I even thought, probably than when he committed. After watching him this high school season, he's done a really, really good job of just getting his other guys involved. He's a scorer at heart. He's a guy that can put the ball in the basket, from behind the arc. I watched him this past summer. He made 6 threes in a game, in a very high-level game, playing for CP3 down in Orlando. So we're excited about him. He's a great kid, and we're looking forward to him joining our family here. Willie Clayton from down in Thomasville, Georgia. Talk about a hard-nosed kid. He loves the game. He wants to be really good, and he's really, really competitive. You know, he's going to add a ton to our team, and we're excited about him. I mean, he's a guy that, you know, can score on the block. You know, he's going to duck you in. He's going to he makes you not want to play against him. You know, he's that kind of a guy. And he's a rebounder. You know, he's a guy that can really, really rebound the basketball. And, you know, he's going to compete early on. Darian Clark has had a great year at Oak Hill. They've had a tremendous season. They're actually over in China right now. Went over there for a 10-day trip with their team. And he's a guy, he can jump out of the gym. He's really, really athletic. He's a great kid. He's got a college body now, you know, which is rare sometimes for high school kids coming into college. That's usually one of the first things. Well, he's got to get stronger. Well, this guy's pretty strong. And, you know, we're lucky to have him at Charlotte. So.
Well, Coach, that's going to wrap up the show and our hour together here today. Thank you so much for stepping in. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for the access all season long, and have a great off season.
Thanks so much. We appreciate all you guys do. And thanks, Mark. And looking forward to a great season next year. Go Niners.
Ryan Odom joining us here tonight, filling in for Coach Major here in the Allen Major Show. Again, I want to welcome all the folks that have come out here tonight again, and thank you. And for the staff here at Wild Wing Cafe University, we certainly appreciate everything you do for us. And I want to thank Tom Whitestone as well, the Niners Sports Information Director, and all the help that he provides us all season long. And also, I don't want to wrap the show up without thanking everybody at Signature Sports, Mark Colon, Steve Hall, everything they've done for all of us and bringing me here 15 years ago. I can't believe it's been 11 now on radio. Lanny, I had a great time with you this year. Look forward to many more.
Appreciate the opportunity. It was nice to get involved with the Charlotte 49ers, and glad to be the flagship for the 49ers right here in Charlotte. And now we're going to bring our second sport on, and not too very long we'll bring another sport on. But we've really enjoyed it. The Allen Major Show is brought to you in part by your Carolina Ford dealers, delivering versatility, unsurpassed power, and best-in-class MPGs. Compromise nothing in a 7-passenger 2012 Ford Explorer. Visit your Carolina Ford dealer. Fans of Charlotte 49ers basketball, from Wild Wing Cafe, we'll see you next season. Have a good evening, everybody.